Hey guys, it's Ian here. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm kind of taking a riff from um, Lowe's Comics TV uh, and doing some of like what I've been reading or like what I grew up on and what inspired me. So this one is All Time Comics. The cover here is done by Ben Mara. He does most of the pencils in here and some of the plotting. All Time Comics, put out by Floating World Comics. I believe they collected it. I'm not exactly sure the single issues, how they were put out, but you have the collection here. It's mainly written or plotted by like kind of the person behind the stories is Josh Baer, and so he is credited with, like I said, the writing duties or the story or the plot and or all of the above. He doesn't do any of the pencils in this one. Oh no, I'm sorry. For Blind Justice, he does the pencils. Blind Justice #1. Most of his art is in the back matter here, with the ads and the sketches and stuff like that. There's a lot of his art back here. There's some Chuck Forsman. You would probably know him from his Netflix stuff right now. The End of the Fucking World 1 and season 2 is out now, and then I Am Not Okay With This is another one of his. My library, well, one of the branches of the Las Vegas Library, or sorry, it's not Las Vegas, it's Clark County, had I'm Not Okay With This, so I was able to read that through there. My comic book store, the one I usually go to, they don't necessarily, I would say, specialize in his stuff or Ben Mara's. I think all of Ben Mara's, who does all the heavy lifting for the pencils, he does most of the stories. His stuff I've never seen out in the wild. I had to get it online. I want to say I got it through Amazon. I either got it from him or Amazon. I do my best to make sure. Like I bought this one from Josh Baer. I follow him on Instagram. I found out about him on Instagram through like the algorithm. I think I might have originally started following Ben Mara. I think I first heard of Ben Mara not actually from Cartoons Kayfabe, which he did the like read more comics. It was him, Ed, Tom Sholey, and Jim Mahfood. I actually found out first. Actually, let me go grab it real quick. It's right in the bookshelf behind me. Yeah, I actually heard of Ben Mara first through the podcast War Rocket Ajax. And I think Chris Sims had just read and kind of recommended this book, Jesus Freak. And so it's written by Joe Casey, but it's drawn by Ben Mara. And so I went out and got this as soon as I heard that on the podcast and I heard them explain it. I was like, Jesus fights like a reptilian monster and stuff. Like, that sounds awesome. So I went out and got it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I want more of this. So then I went out and got Night Business and what else? American Blood, I think is the one. And then there's another one. What's the one with the Omwat? That's it. I wanted to say Omet, but I knew it wasn't. It was Omwat. So I have all those now. Those I'm not going to show you on this yet. I'm just starting the channel out. I don't want to get flagged for nothing, but for adults only. This one actually is much more tame by the art, and because I think he's writing someone else's story, but great cartoonist. But I found out about him from that podcast. Started following him on Instagram, and then that's I think how I found Josh. And so, my original point is that I try to get all the stuff if my local comic book store doesn't have it. Then I'll get it either from them directly or I'll cave and get it by Amazon, as my last case scenario. Because sometimes I'll go in and ask for this kind of stuff, and I don't know if it's too old to get through the diamond channels or whatever. But usually they're like, oh, we can't order that or can't see it. So then I'm like, okay, and I'll go on and try to get it from the artist. But anyway, this actual first story right here though is not Ben Mara. This is Herb Trimpe's pencils. I should have said at the beginning. There's basically these four heroes. They're not in a team or anything. But they do occupy, the same universe. And The collection here has the first issue of all of them, and then issues number 1 and 2 for these guys, Blind Justice and Crime Destroyer. This is Atlas and Bullwhip. Did I get those right? Yes. Okay. In the future, I would have prepared and like known that ahead of time, but I'm just going off memory. So yeah, you can see up here, Herb Trimpe did the pencils, and it's mentioned here in the back matter that's like one of the last pencils he did before he passed away. And yeah, so anyway, this is a really great collection. It's a total throwback to kind of what I would say like 70s to even like mid-late 70s to early 80s era, like Marvel is what it reminds me of, kind of like the Master Kung Fu and Son of Satan kind of storytelling and pacing and art. And it's really wacky, it's really crazy. My favorite story in here, I mean, it's just really cool. It's action-packed. The coloring is in that faux, old school dot color separation coloring. That's really prevalent on the Bullwhip story, which is actually my favorite. I think it's the second one. Let me see here. Yeah, that's still Crime Destroyer. Here we go. Yeah, because you can see here, I'll hold it up to the camera. You can see like the color separations are out of place on purpose, but of course back in the day that was not done on purpose. See how like the blue doesn't line up and everything, but it's colored like that. This is my favorite story. It's got this interdimensional time traveling vampire as your kind of main antagonist. This one's great. It interrupts like a femme punk rock concert. This is definitely my favorite story. There's a princess involved. And yeah, so you have these issues. You have the first issue for each one of the 4, and then the second issue for each one. This one's also Ben Marra and Josh Bear. It's right there. So co-writer and then editor, artist. Rick Parker does almost all the lettering. He might actually do all the lettering. I'll go back and look at that. But he's kind of a famous Marvel letterer. Well, just letter in general, and did the Beavis and Butthead comics from the 90s. This one actually has art. I think it's pencils by Josh Baer. So that's kind of like the main writer guy behind all this. This is, I think, the one story that has his pencils. And it's inked by Al Milgrom, I think. Because I think Al Milgrom does almost all the inking. If not all the inking for this. Oh, actually, he doesn't do it on the first story. The first story right here, it's Herb Trimpe pencils. This one's inked by Ben Marra. And then Ben Marra does most of the pencils and it's inked by Al Milgrom. And then there's a Noah Van Scriver one, which is really good. I'm a big fan of his art and his cartooning in general, like his original stories too. Let's see, I'll know it when I see it. And that's Ben Marra. That you know when you see. This one great, like the coloring there. I mean, I hope that's picking up well. And once again, kind of old storytelling, old coloring schemes. You get the dot patterns back here. It's great. I mean, I love it. This was great. I love reading it. I read it the first time. Now, hold on. Doesn't that look like the Instagram character that he's doing now? I mean, I hate to go off on a tangent here like I haven't been on 3 already. But Ben Marra, if you've been following him on Instagram, I want to say he's up to, not issue, but like cartoon. He's been doing about 1 a day. I mean, I'm sure he's missed a day here or there. But it started since before the stay-at-home order. Golly, I want to say he's up to like 100, 110 by now with the teacher. What is it called? What is it called? I mean, I've been looking at it every day. What We Mean by Yesterday. There we go. This character right here, just I saw it and it stopped reminding me of the What We Mean by Yesterday character. Go check that out on Instagram if you haven't. Here's the Noah Van Scriver. So this is really good. Nice change of pace in the art. But what I was saying is I had originally gotten this, and that looks just like a character from every Noah Van Scriver cartoon. I feel like I've seen him in every single iteration. It also kind of looks like that one, the character in Ed Piskor's, I don't know what we call it, Outlaw comic. But I had kind of read the first story or 2. I think I got up to this vampire and then put it down. Not because I didn't like it, but just because this was back in, I want to say I got this book around Christmas, so I was probably reading it in January. and I was still working. I'm a teacher, so I work like, you know, with commutes, and I coach. I work on average like 11-hour days, and so I'd come home, say hi to the family, whatever, and then I'd probably get like an hour of my time. So some of it was used making comics and reading. So anyway, I would only get so far, and then I just had to put it down because of life. But then once we went on the stay-at-home order, I was like, whoops. So I picked it back up, read it all the way through. I mean, it's really cool. I really enjoyed it. I don't think there's really a weak story in here. Like I said, I have a favorite. And really, it stops right there. I have a favorite. It's the vampire one, but they're all good. And then this whole back part is pinups, alternate covers, ads, letter pages, and a lot more artists come in here. And I mean, it's almost worth it. It's worth it to some extent just for all this stuff. I mean, this is really cool. So I imagine it came out in single issue because they have like multiple kind of letter pages and stuff here. And all these ads, I imagine like one or two kind of were in there. So here's, yeah, there's Josh Bears right there. So anyway, this is more like what you'll see Josh Bear kind of draw on Instagram. It's kind of this like really thick, ink heavy stuff. It looks like Shaky Kane almost. I wonder if it could be. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, this story was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It's one of the it's probably the first thing I read once we kind of went to stay at home. And so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I want to do more of these in the future. It doesn't have to be just one book. I mean, this is a pretty thick book. That's what she said. What is it? 300 and some pages? 250 pages ish. So, you know, it's a lot to go through, but I have a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll go through some Ben Marra things. I'd like to go through some of the independent stuff I have that I got at Comic-Cons and stuff, or maybe, you know, signal boost that a little bit. But anyway, just wanted to change up a little bit from art and stuff like that, and just wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm reading. So anyway, guys, I will see you next time, and I hope you had fun, and leave comments of what can be better or what you liked. And yeah, all right, that's all I got. All right, see you guys later. Bye.